And welcome back. It is your SMX Insider post-race show. Said you wanted to get the feel of motocross and supercross together. Well, we do allow fans. They'll come over to this fence line here in a moment as we get ready for trophy ceremonies and champagne celebration for the first ever SMX race. And there was so much hype. There's the champagne there for Ferrandis. There's so much hype about how would the track race, how would the format work, how into it would the riders be, and also the budding rivalry, James Stewart, Chase Sexton, and Jet Lawrence. Sexton needed to answer back, and he did.
Oh, he answered back in a big way, and you got to believe it's just he needed a reset after that motocross series. I mean, we were there at the last race, and I saw it on his face. He was kind of, I wouldn't say lost, but a little defeated and perplexed. Like, I don't think I can get this guy, but he knew. You know, and I think just coming in here, he had the red plate, just signifying on his bike it's red, so that means you've done something, and he just leaned back on his past experience, realizing he was the defending champion. And we all know Chase Sexton is a talented guy, and I think we all felt like he was going to be able to beat Jet this outdoors. He showed up today, and he sent the message. He answered for sure. Absolutely.
And when you talk about reset, how about Ricky Carmichael, Dylan Ferrandis, and Ken Roczen? They had points to prove, and they put it on the podium as well.
Yeah, well, Dylan Ferrandis had a strong end of the Pro Motocross Championship. And then also, Ken Roczen, this doesn't come as a surprise. He rises up to the occasion in a situation like this, so great job.
And Sexton with a hug there for his dad, Keir. Welcome, it's the SMX Insider post-race show from the first ever SuperMotocross World Championship event. This one taking place at ZMAX Dragway, which is part of the Charlotte Motor Speedway complex, and the celebration for Chase Sexton, Team Honda HRC. It's his dad to his right, Keir Sexton, mechanic, the team manager also there. This has to feel good. Obviously, winning the Monster Energy Supercross Championship is a pinnacle moment in any rider's career, but look, he mentioned in his podium interview he's been getting a lot of hate from people, but I think that's all because people believe that Chase Sexton can do this, and they want to see him reach his full potential. He's back to his potential, at least today, James.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the hate comes with expectations, you know, and I don't know necessarily it was hate. It was just that, like, we were all like, man, and when it's going to come? And a lot of the pressure and noise, it begins in those 6 inches between your ears. You know, I think you kind of hear what you think. You take conversations, and I know every time Chase, except for that last race, every time he was like, man, I need to ride better. I feel like I can beat him, and I know it was frustrating him. So he just came out here, built all that animosity of what's been happening in the last few months with Jet, hit a reset, out with the old, in with the new, and you know, he was able to capitalize. And I mean, it was dominant. It was dominant.
Jet tried to run him down in Moto 2, couldn't do it. He dominated everyone else in Moto 1, but the one thing that hasn't changed, it's still Honda's winning, whether it's Lawrence in motocross or Sexton here, Supercross and Super Motocross. So let's talk to the team manager of the squad, who's with Jason Thomas.
That's right, Weege. The riders changed, but the color stays the same. Honda wins again. Chase Sexton, what an incredible performance today. But also a little bit of a weird result with Hunter Lawrence in Jet's first moto. Just talk about your emotions through the day and some of the changes you guys went through as the day rolled on.
Yeah, today was a little different. You know, it had a different feel to it. Definitely the track being the hybrid track that we haven't raced on before definitely changed things up. Not having the whoops, you know, so a few of those things that really separate riders. We don't really have a lot of that, and you could see that, like a guy, you know, like some of the riders that were ahead of us in that race trying to get by him. It gives them a little bit of a chance to, you know, when they take away the technical part of the track, you know, a lot of other riders are in there, and it makes it hard to pass a little bit. So you got to get a good start, which you didn't really do. You know, we didn't really get the good starts, and we that really ate us up in the 250 class. And then luckily our guys really rode awesome in that last moto, made some great passes where guys weren't making passes. So super proud of the way that Jet recovered after that second moto, and then super proud of Chase to go 1-1. I mean, he really showed a lot of domination that he showed all year in Supercross. So just stoked for him.
Yeah, in Hunter's 250 class, I think he made mention about them holding the gate up for a really long time in that first moto, and that kind of caught him off guard. Is that something that you guys talked about in between motos, or was it just settings and maybe just we're back to a little bit of more Supercross feel too? But I think the starts for him in that class will be so critical. Is there something that you can make an adjustment on for next week?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, that can happen, right? You know, sometimes they hold the gate long or something happens and it throws off your rhythm. and that can kind of affect you. We're kind of struggling a little bit with his starts, since the end of outdoors, so we need to work on that a little bit. And I think that we'll take that as a part of the team too. We need to be a little bit better with the delivery and everything. So I think between us and him, we're going to get it, and we'll come back next week stronger.
Great job today. We'll see you in Chicago.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, JT. So Honda's still on top in the 450 division, no matter which rider's riding the bike, but a lot to learn today.
Yeah, I'm thinking, James, of these guys going into Chicago, and you hear a lot about the bike, and Dylan Ferrandis talked about it on the podium about maybe it was a little stiff, the Supercross setting. So I feel like personally what they've learned this weekend and then going into Chicago, that if you're a rider, are you okay with compromising it being soft on the jump faces of Supercross jumps where the pitch is steeper and gaining on the more outdoor sections, the faster sections? I do think there's going to be more of a compromise and give and take in the hybrid style track because of that. Like, it's not going to work perfect in Supercross, and it's not going to work perfect in the motocross portion of it. So as a rider, I feel like the guy, you have to be willing to do a little give and take on the suspension settings.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think Lars said it best, with the whoops not being there, the separation, it's not there as much as a normal Supercross track, and even outdoors. There's technical parts of it, even though it's a motocross track, where this track is it's that hybrid. So I think the suspension really caused a lot. It was a lot bigger factor. It played a bigger factor in this race than probably years. I was saying years past, but races past, and we kind of saw that. So going into Chicago, you got to the dirt's going to be different. Yeah. The track layout's going to be different. So I think these guys need to just kind of go there. Every race is going to be different. It's going to present a new challenge. The only thing that's going to be is it will be in kind of a speedway standpoint. But just go there. Route practice, and then, hey, if it's like this, change it up, because you're going to have to do that. Otherwise, the results are going to stay the same. And, overall, Chase Sexton, they figured it out. And Jet Lawrence did ride better that second moto. And I think even Hunter Lawrence, he rode fine.
He did.
But confidence. I think we're going to have a race no matter what in both classes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was great in the 450 class today. And the 250s certainly no slouch as well. Let's actually give you the highlights of the 250 division. And this is how it all started. They were the first ones to get onto the racetrack in actual races in SMX. So here's how it looked. Your first ever SMX race, the 250 class from ZMAX Dragway, Concord, North Carolina, just outside of Charlotte. That's an SMX track, a hybrid. You had motocross, you just saw on the top of the screen, and a more supercross type layout at the bottom. That is Hunter Lawrence in the center of the screen, the favorite coming in, winning both supercross and motocross titles this year. He does not get a good start in the first moto, though, and he's in the back. It's Levi Kitchen and Seth Hamaker battling for the lead.
Yeah, it was good to see Mitch Payton and the Star Racing Yamahas out front. And then this was the first domino to fall. Hunter Lawrence goes in there, and this was a little bit wet. This is that Supercross hybrid suspension talk we've been talking about. This is one of the motocross sections. And then we're also watching Seth Hamaker in the same spot. A lap later, Ricky goes down, and it was a struggle.
Yeah, and those guys going for it. They're going for it earlier, and R.J. Hampshire taking a tough crash on that hip double. And from the looks of it, I have to see a different angle to really get a true reading, but I feel maybe he spun on the takeoff and then went over the handlebars. This guy.
Hayden Deegan on the left is going after his teammate, Levi Kitchen, for the lead, and he gets it right here.
Yeah, he got it, and that was after he was able to close the gap. Levi had a good pace in the beginning part, got it out to like 3-4 seconds, but Hayden ran him down and got the Moto1 victory.
That was historic right there, the first checkered flag we ever saw in SMX. Moto number 2, not as good a start for Deegan. It's going to be Tom Vial to the lead.
Yeah, Tom Vial and Joe Shimoda was up there, Ricky. Your pick.
Yeah, the pick. I tell you what, after the ride at Ironman with Shimoda, you can see the 96 of Hunter Lawrence. He goes down, starts to push the front end. They fix the first turn, and then that loose dirt, he just can't trust that front end. Boom, he goes down. But I like the 30. I like the momentum he was bringing from Ironman, the last Pro National. And I'll tell you what, Vial rode strong, but that was a great pass. Well,
no, not there. He tried.
Yeah. almost pass. He will make the pass eventually there in that corner. It's going to be right here. Just carry, he's able to carry more speed around here. Didn't have to get on the brakes as much and carry that momentum around for the pass for the lead.
Yeah, try once, then try again. You succeed.
Perfected it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You were confused because I mean that's where he did make the pass, but once he did that, Joe was like he was an Iron Man, and it looks good. And I think it just busts his 250 championship wide open.
Absolutely. He goes 4th in Moto 1, wins Moto 2, but because Deegan had troubles in this one, it opened the door for the overall win for Joe Shimoda. And that's actually 2 race wins in a row. As you said, James, he won the Ironman National. There's Deegan and Vial also on the podium, and they're all battling for this championship as well. So first, we show you the results from this one. Vial 2nd, Deegan 3rd. Ryder DiFrancesco, that is a new career high as a professional. 3rd in the 2nd moto, 4th overall. Jordan Smith, the North Carolina native, is 5th. Hammaker Kitchen, Lawrence, a disappointing 8th after early crashes in both races. Justin Cooper definitely wasn't here to get 9th, but that's the way it turned out. Pierce Brown 10th, and the race winner, 50 grand.
50 grand. He's doing all right.
All right, Joe.
Hey, Joe,
Yep.
I'm going to call you. I'm going to call you.
Yeah, let's hang out tonight.
It's Joe time.
And look at this, the points in the SMX Championship, 1 round down, 2 to go. Shimoda and Deegan tied at the top. Lawrence just 3 points behind. Vial, Kitchen, they're all in it. Jordan Smith, 12 points down in it.
It's going to be so much fun going to Chicago next weekend with the double points and this point swings that are potentially at hand. These guys, I mean, you do not want to have a bad weekend the next 2 weekends.
Yeah, and I like if you look on the right-hand side, you know, 2 wins for both Hayden and Joe, but 14 for Hunter. This just signifies the playoff format. Like all year, now we're in the playoffs, and now we got those 2 guys ahead of Hunter Lawrence. So, yeah, once you're in, you have a chance to win.
So that is it. Those are your points, results, and highlights from your first race here in Charlotte. What's cool about this to me is that we came into this weekend, we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what to expect.
Right.
It's not like RC just because we had one, now we know. Because Chicago's totally different.
Well, as you were sitting here talking right now, I was thinking about, you know, I was saying, oh, you needed to set the tone here at the first playoff race. But now I'm thinking, well, actually, this is almost, it could be like a throwaway race. Yeah, you want to set the tone mentally and get up front, but you really don't want to lay an egg next weekend with the double points. So when we're looking at that points sheet right there, I mean, you take a guy like Justin Cooper, say he goes up and gets, you know, goes 1-1 or 2-2, whatever, and Hunter Lawrence does the same thing, and then Joe and Hayden go reverse, then we're back to even again.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the tone needed to be set in that 450 class, only because the stop, what was happening. I mean,
and they're more consistent too. Yeah.
And I think if we would have came in and we were talking about Jet won again, you know, nothing would change. But the fact is, Chase Sexton, and I think Jet feels pretty confident after that second moto. The tone was set, and Chicago. I mean, last time I was there, I was flipping a truck.
Yeah, I just think,
that's not a good tone
I just think the next 2 rounds, especially the final round for the World Championship, is you are not going to be able to cover up mistakes like you did today.
Yeah, that'll be a home race, though,
There's
for Sexton, so he'll carry that momentum in there, but a totally different type of track, so we don't know what to expect. We did have one other race here as part of our SMX event. That's the 65cc World Finals. So let's show you the highlights of that 65cc race. These are riders between ages 8 and 12, and you think, man, how are they going to ride a track like this that is Supercross obstacles? Well, here's a 60-plus foot finish line jump. No problem. Gavin McCoy to the lead. Easton Graves trying to get him with a good start, but Graves would bump into another rider early, go down. Jackson Vick takes the lead on the number 70.
Yeah, well, they didn't ride this track. They raced this track.
That's right.
They were racing. I mean, these kids, Ricky, they were
rolling.
They were rolling, jumping. There wasn't a lot of rolling doing because they were in the air a lot, but these kids were on fire. It was good to see, and they took the future right here.
Talented, and we talk about it all the time. We talk about it during the broadcast. We talk about the KTM Junior Challengers. It's a great opportunity for these young kids and the parents as well.
Yeah. There's Jackson Vick taking the win with style over that giant finish line jump. And Easton Graves was able to recover for second with McCoy in third. He's only 10 years old, so that's still pretty impressive. The fastest of his age group. That's 2 KTMs and a Cobra, and then a Yamaha in fourth with Brayton Craiglow. Joey Vicari was 5th. Carter Gray, 6th. Jaden Smart, 7th. Anderson Waldell and Beckham Smith 8th and 9th. Beckham Smith is only 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
Jeez. And
Probably, what, 60 pounds?
unbelievable. Yeah, he's a 50cc champ and showed he could do it on a 65. Brody Bircher and Landon Lee, as we give you the top 11 in that class. It was really cool to see 65s out here because we wanted to give the full feel of what Supercross and motocross are. So we had to track the head a little bit. It was cool that we had a section of the track where the fans could sit over the fence line and put their campers up against the track like we do in motocross.
Totally.
And then the 65 class, you guys used to live that. That's all part of the sport. The minis, the dads, the moms. So we put that on display too, James.
It was a lot on display. It was. And I think not only that, these kids were watching the next guy that's JT's with and Jordan Smith. They were watching him, and we'll see. So, JT, who you got?
Right, today we haven't seen you since High Point, and I think everybody was kind of wondering what kind of shape you'd be in, what kind of form you'd be on. You know, we haven't had any information on you in a while, but that second moto, pace was there. Like, you were catching the leaders, and that was really impressive, so it had to feel good.
Yeah, it did. I mean, whenever I was injured, I put in a lot of work. I mean, actually, me and Nate Thrasher, and Nick Romano, we were grinding on the bicycle. I think thought we were part of the Tour de France for a little bit, but then it was time to get back on the bike. I had about 3 weeks, I think, on Supercross before here, and it felt good to get back out there, get racing with the guys, and a little nervous going in. You know, they've been racing every weekend, and I haven't, so a little nervous going in, but the second moto got a better start, and I rode good both motos, so I was happy with that.
Great job. We'll see you in Chicago, and I believe Will Christian has Cameron McAdoo.
Yeah, look who's here to join us right now, guys. Cam, thanks ever so much. A great day for the whole team here. You were there to support, you know, Joe and to support Ryder, and of course yourself. You're coming back from injury. So let's just start with you, where you're at. How's the shoulder, and are you back on the bike? How's riding going?
I would actually like to start with the team. It was really cool to see the team win today. I was excited to be able to come out here to Charlotte to hang out, support the team. It's been a while since I've been at the races, and it's really cool to see, you know, our bike win and the team win. So congrats to the whole team, especially Joe. He did great today. But for myself personally, I got injured during Supercross this year, and so I missed all of the outdoor season. I'm just getting back on the bike and have been just getting back to riding. So obviously looking forward to racing Supercross next year. I won't be racing any of the SMX rounds, but it was nice just to be back around my people, and it's really encouraging to see our bikes up front.
I was just going to go there with that. So to see the progress that the team has made, it seems to have been leaps and bounds kind of recently here. So you know, it's not easy being at home watching from the couch for yourself for injuries, but motivation-wise, what does that do for you to see everyone moving forward like this?
It's extremely encouraging. Like, the guys work so hard at the shop. I'll go visit them during the week, and man, they work really hard. So it's good to see that pay off for them, and it's encouraging. You know, this is the bike that I'm going to race here in a few months in Supercross. So it was good to watch. It was good to just be here and see the format, see how it works, and I just love being at the races. Obviously, I want to be racing, but if I can't be racing, I'd rather be here than at the couch at home. So, yeah, I'm just excited for the team today. It was really cool to see them win again, and obviously Joe won the last race at Outdoors of Ironman, and I was home for that one. But it's fun. It's fun to be around the pits. The guys are stoked. Everyone's, you know, it's cool to see the mechanics. They all work together so hard. So the rest of the team is just as stoked.
Well, we're happy to see you back, Cam. Thanks ever so much for your time. We're excited to see you back at Supercross. Thank you.
Yep, thanks. I look forward to it.
Bye.
Let's look at the 450 highlights of the first ever SuperMotocross event from Charlotte's ZMAX Dragway. And the big story coming in was the 22 moto win streak from Pro Motocross for the number 18 Honda rider, Chet Lawrence. But would it change when we went to the hybrid type track? A little bit of motocross, a little bit of supercross. Justin Barcia is going to lead early with a hole shot.
That right-hand first turn was pretty even. I thought for sure the left hand was going to be most dominant.
Ty Masterpool second, but here comes Chase Sexton on a mission.
Yeah, Chase was, I mean, he looked good all day long. I mean, we thought when Jet threw it at 113 in practice that it was going to be the same, but Chase had different plans for that. And I think the start helped him. You know, he got in there, and those guys were kind of jumping all over Jet, and it was allowing Chase to get in as we were watching, you know, Jet trying to get around Jason Anderson. Jason's like, no, not today. And that was kind of the story of his day, really, Jet.
Yeah, really,
crash,
really lackluster performance from the 18 of Jet Lawrence, especially coming from the dominant Pro Motocross Championship, going undefeated 22 motos straight, never losing. But if you like what you saw from the 23 this first moto, you're going to probably like what you saw from him the second moto as well.
Big win to get back on the board and dominate that first moto after a disappointing motocross campaign. Of course, he is your Monster Energy Supercross champ. How about this? All these factory bikes and the HBI Racing self-funded Kawasaki team, Ty Masterpool, beats them all to the start.
Yeah, Ty's been doing that all year long, just like the motocross, but you know, he's playing a game of chicken with Roxon, trying to cut him off, but Roxon struggled in that rhythm section, but he nailed it there. And this is where Adam Cincerella had a big crash. Kind of got lucky on riding that thing out, but definitely a bad start to the second moto for him.
Hey, massive shout out to, he'll get back up on his bike. Massive shout out to Ken Roxon coming back. He only raced one Pro Motocross race, and to come out here and do what he did. But this is what Ken Roxon does. He's really explosive at the beginning of the races, and he's able to set a pace and kind of ride the lead for a while.
Sexton is able to get around Masterpool, who had been struggling big time, could have had his appendix removed, chose to hold that off just to get to these playoff races. A couple minutes in, he started to fade, and then an unbelievable charge from Sexton, and this surprised all of us how quickly he got to Roxon.
Yeah, I mean, I think it surprised Ken as well, you know, because at one point, Chase was like 6-7 seconds down, and he just closed that gap really quick. And then it was Jet Lawrence's time to try to make that pass, and he tried making a run towards his teammate, as this is what we were talking about earlier, of just flight technique and tactician at his finest. But
he tried to make a run, yeah, but he couldn't do it this time against Sexton, who goes 1-1, an emphatic first ever overall win in the Super Motocross World Championship. And there are the Honda teammates keeping the win streak alive for their team, no doubt about that. Roxon, as you said, RC, great job on the podium. And how about Dylan Ferrandis on the Monster Energy Star Yamaha? We didn't really get to see much from him in Supercross this year. An early season crash and concussion knocked him out of it. He was fast in motocross, second in the championship, and very good today with third overall with the 2-4 scores. Lawrence with that second in Moto2 recovers for fourth overall over Anderson, Plessinger, Barsha. Webb in his return to Yamaha, eighth. Here are your points. Sexton already had an edge on Plessinger, Lawrence, and everyone else coming into this, and then he scored points today by winning, and that gives him a nice gap of 12 going into our next race, which is his home race in Chicago, because he is originally from Illinois. Well, that's what you wanted to see if you were a fan. All year long, we weren't picking on Jet Lawrence. We weren't rooting against him, but we wanted to see a challenge. Chase Sexton was close. We got the challenge, though, for sure this time.
Yeah, we did. Chase Sexton was on another planet today. He rode great, and he did what we know that he's capable of doing. I mean, he was just spot on, virtually zero mistakes, and it was great to see that from him, especially he took a beating in that Pro Motocross Championship, just continually getting beat, then making some mistakes, some forced errors, but nevertheless, a great run. But, you know, I still feel like we're trying to learn the playoffs. At least I am. At the beginning, I said you needed to set the tone, but now I'm thinking like, man, you got to execute all of these rounds, especially with double points coming up next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think we can ask for a better beginning.
No.
We saw the way this outdoors ended, and it could have easily kept coming in as the Lawrence brothers show, but Joe Shimoda and Chase Sexton, they showed us that this playoff is for real, and this whole format and what we've been able to create. The Super Motocross format has brought the best out of all these, not just, you know, the guys who won, but, you know, Levi Kitchen was up there, you know, Hayden Deegan, Ken Roxon. It's brought them all out, including the Lawrence guys. So they got 2 more races, and it starts next week. They get to reset and see if they can stop what we just saw today.
Yeah, lots of homework for these riders and teams to do now that they have one under their belt. So we've all learned a lot today. Will Christian down on the track, I'm sure you have, talking to everyone all afternoon and even yesterday. So I think it's been a good weekend and quite a learning experience for everyone as we reset for Chicago.
Oh, absolutely. It has been fascinating watching everybody go through this process here. You know, both yesterday, obviously, because we were able to see all the guys out on track there yesterday and today. The questions that I kept sort of asking them to start things off is, you know, how do you go about this? What's the strategy? What's the bike setup? And there was a lot of sort of just like, we don't know. We don't know, you know, it's because they don't. This is new. That's the whole point. SMX has worked exactly as it was supposed to do, which is essentially, you know, throw a little bit of a curveball in here, make something new, and find out who can figure this out. And today was a perfect example of going, all right, you didn't quite figure it out today. Maybe, you know, you got there with some of the guys, some other guys shone and felt like they were more prepared and gelled with it. And then we have to move into next weekend, as you guys said, double points. The pressure starts to build on for these guys, and they have to figure it out again. They're not coming back here. They're not coming back to ZMAX Dragway. They've got to go ahead, figure it out all again next weekend. And it's been fascinating to watch that develop here over the last couple of days. And now we see Chase with the momentum that he's got now. That's going to be a tough one to fight against, right? That's once a guy, as you, James and Ricky said there during the broadcast, he got in the zone, and now they've let him get in the zone, and can that be broken? Can anybody break that now? Because we know how powerful that is. So absolutely fascinating. Can't wait for Chicago. It's going to be all new again, and I'll get to watch everybody scratch their heads all over again next weekend.
Well, I wanted to say hello to Jalik Swoll as he passed by there, but you know what I leave here with is everything that I thought I knew, I'm having to rethink. In the 250 class, I thought Hunter Lawrence would come in having all the pressure taken off an Ironman with the championship and really show why he was your double champion in Monster Energy Supercross and in Pro Motocross, and he did anything but that today. He really struggled to find rhythm. His starts were off, and he really didn't have a lot of pace in that second moto either. His lap times were not very good. So I have to really reassess, where do I put Hunter Lawrence in this class? He's been so dominant in 2023, but he was not that guy today. So I'm sure he'll go home, think about that. Lars Lindstrom mentioned they're going to make a lot of adjustments this week, and I think he will probably do around 1 million starts as well this week to try to fix the wrongs that happened today. And then the 450 class, we all thought, including myself, that Jet Lawrence was unflappable, right? Every bit of adversity that he had come across, he had found a way to get past, and today he just could not do that. And I watched him in that first moto. He was getting pushed around by the veterans of this 450 class. And in the words of Rowdy Burns, going back to the movie Days of Thunder, he was in a crowd, and he wasn't doing very well. And I just watched him, and he looked like he got flustered. He looked like he got rattled, and I haven't not seen that from Jet Lawrence on a 450 until today.
Yeah.
And then Chase Sexton, to the positive, was incredible, right? All the questions that we had been asking all summer long. Could he do it? Could he get past the mental struggles he had had this summer? He proved he could today, and he did not look phased at all by Jet Lawrence or anyone else in this field. So again, leaving here everything that I thought I knew, and I could have predicted what was going to happen today, I would have looked very, very foolish.
Well, that's what makes it interesting, JT. There were a lot of guesses coming into this. I thought this track would be a whole lot more Supercross than Motocross. The way they prepped it up, it really threw everyone for a curve. It had much more of a Motocross element, and a lot of people think next week will be even more so. Here's how we're going to cover it. Next Saturday, September 16th, Race Day Live qualifying coverage, 2:30 Eastern on Peacock. Our pre-race show begins at 7:30 Eastern on Peacock, and also the SuperMotocross video pass outside of the United States. And our racing begins at 8 p.m. from Chicagoland Speedway. We will have a noon Eastern show encore on Sunday on NBC. Well, it has been spectacular, probably even more surprising than we expected, with a whole new era for this sport. The SuperMotocross World Championship is now real, it is now here, and we have winners, Joe Shimoda and Chase Sexton. But it'll be double points at another new track and facility next weekend in Chicago. But for now, let's say congrats to our winners. We'll see you next week.
Dude, Aaron's making more work for us. Aaron's making more. Appreciate that, Aaron.